Having a roof over your head and a place to call home is one of life's basic necessities. However, the costs associated with owning or renting a place could be what's holding you back. On average, people spend around 1/3 of their income on housing expenses, often much more. Well, what if I told you that you could live for free and spend your hard-earned money doing things you enjoy or building even more wealth? And I'm not talking about some get-rich-quick scheme either. This method is totally viable, and many people are already taking advantage of it. It's known as house hacking. So, what exactly is house hacking? Simply put, it's the act of having other people cover all or part of your housing expenses. How is this possible? Well, there are a number of ways it can be achieved, which we'll discuss, some of which you may never even have thought possible. Please be aware that house hacking isn't for everyone and may require some small sacrifices on your part. For instance, you may have to live with house guests for a while, or in a smaller space than you'd like. But the money you save could soon be spent investing in your dream home, and as I said, there are plenty of options. You'll find that the pros usually outweigh the cons. One of the early choices you'll have to make when it comes to house hacking is whether you are going to rent or buy your property. If you're just looking to save money on rent, you could negotiate with your landlord to sublet the place where you're staying. This means letting other people occupy spare rooms within the same property, but getting them to cover the rent. For example, if the total rent for a house is $1,500 per month, you could ask for the landlord's permission to sublet rooms in the house to 2 other people, who each pay $750 a month, meaning you won't have to pay anything at all. People are always willing to pay more for rooms in the nicer parts of town, so if you can find a good deal and negotiate well enough, you could effectively live somewhere posh rent-free. Not all landlords allow subletting though, so make sure you get the go-ahead before moving in. Rather than renting, a better idea is to get your foot firmly on the property ladder and buy a property or secure a mortgage. Depending on where you live, you'll typically need to put down a deposit of anywhere between 1% and 20% of a house's market value. Once you do though, there are several benefits you can enjoy as a homeowner. For starters, you'll only need to cover the cost of the mortgage and property upkeep each month, which is usually much lower than what it would cost to rent. You will effectively become the landlord and can even start making a tidy profit. Buying a multifamily property, such as a duplex, triplex, or more, will allow you to move into one of the units while renting out the others. In the US, properties with up to 4 units are still classified as residential, so you should have no problem securing a mortgage. Try to find an area where rooms are in high demand and where property prices are cheap in relation to rents. Make sure you charge your tenants enough to cover your mortgage payments each month, plus your taxes and property maintenance costs. If you want to become financially independent, this is an excellent way to gain passive income that will allow you the freedom to live and save for a better lifestyle. Let's take a look at a hypothetical scenario. You get a mortgage on a triplex that costs $3,500 a month for the mortgage, taxes, and maintenance combined. You stay in one unit and rent out the others to 2 families for $2,500 each. This means you get $5,000 coming in from the 2 families each month, which not only covers your expenses, but gives you $1,500 extra to put towards your dream home. Fantastic! If you don't fancy the idea of living with your renters for the long term, you could explore the possibility of renting out parts of your home to vacationers. This works especially well in tourist areas with high numbers of visitors. You may be able to earn a lot more by charging higher prices on sites like Airbnb. There are ups and downs to this short-term approach, like demand fluctuating at different times of the year, not having to deal with evictions, but never knowing who might stay at your house. Some people tend to have less respect for a property if they know they're going to be leaving soon. Plus, you'll be the one who needs to pay for things like utilities and furnishings. Not all cities allow Airbnb, and there are different rental laws everywhere, so be sure to familiarize yourself with the local situation if you go down this route. Accepting foreign exchange students is another great house hack, since educational institutions can offer generous monthly stipends to accommodating hosts. And remember, you can make use of areas of your property like the garden or your garage and convert them into habitable spaces too. You'll be surprised how much nature lovers are willing to pay to spend the night in someone's garden, especially if there's a fire pit or scenic views. It's worth noting that you don't have to share your home with people in order to make money as a host. If you've got some spare rooms, why not rent them out as storage spaces on sites like neighbor.com? It may not earn you as much as the other suggestions on this list, but you can certainly pick up hundreds of dollars per month for doing basically nothing. Some people would rather keep their belongings safe within a person's home than in a warehouse and will happily pay for the privilege. What's more, if they refuse to pay the rent or collect their stuff, evicting their possessions is a much easier process than trying to get rid of a squatting tenant. Alternatively, if you're a fan of DIY and developmental projects, you could look into what's known as house flipping. Also known as wholesale real estate investing, it involves buying a property for a low price, increasing its value, and then selling it or flipping it for a profit. Old houses that are worn down and in need of some repairs are much cheaper than newer, fresher properties, which most homeowners are on the lookout for. This creates an opportunity for you, as long as you're willing to put in the work. It's essential that you factor in the cost of repairs and improvements when buying a house to flip. Many novice investors make the mistake of underestimating these costs and can find themselves in a hole. With house prices trending upwards, generally, house flipping turns out to be a profitable venture. As an example, if you were to buy a house with a value of 400 grand, spend 50 grand giving it a makeover so that it gets revalued at 500 grand, and you've made 50 grand profit when you sell it. You could decide to rent out the renovated property or live in it yourself. Think of it as if you were to charge $3,000 a month, you could live there for over 16 months with the 50 grand you made. Finally, if none of the hacks on this list seem suitable or applicable to you so far, there is one more option. Seek out a job that offers free housing. If you can secure a job where you don't have to worry about housing expenses at all, you could potentially make money while avoiding a lot of the hassle. If you already own a home and don't have any dependents living there, you could rent it out while pursuing your career and make an absolute fortune. Don't be afraid to try to negotiate something like housing with your employer. Teachers, administrators, caregivers, security workers, and many other jobs have the capability to provide free housing. It's definitely worth looking into, and perhaps even changing positions for. So, as you can see, there are many ways you can actually live for free by house hacking. There is always an element of risk involved, whether it's tenants misbehaving or the boiler breaking down, but the rewards seem lucrative. And at the end of the day, who wouldn't want to live for free while saving for the future? Which house hacking method do you find the most appealing? Let us know in the comments, along with any other suggestions you have. That's all for now. Why not check out some of our other vids, and we'll see you in the next one.